Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I have this 2005 BMW 325i with the M54 engine. This is the old school engine, doesn't have a turbo, it is just the bare engine, naturally aspirated. And what is having is misfiring. When you start the engine misfire, it giving codes about the random misfire, which is the P300 and cylinder 1, cylinder 3 and things like that. So in this case there is obviously a misfire going on, but this is the old version engine, BMW engine. This is the M54, as I said before. It doesn't have direct injection and it doesn't have turbochargers. So that means that the problem can be somewhere else than the injection system and the intake valves, because on the newer engines intake valves go bad. But in this one, because it has the old school engine, we are going to take that apart and just concentrate on two things. Then are compression and coils and spark plugs. Mostly on these engines, old school engines, that is what it fails the most. So what we want to do right now, before doing anything else, is just to check. We want to pull the spark plugs out and to see how the spark plugs look on this engine. Based on that, we're going to give the conclusion. The removal of the spark plugs on the old BMWs, you have to remove this part, especially on the 3 Series. There is a cover over here for the air filter you have to remove. There is 4 bolts over here that you have to take off, and then the little gasket, the seals, you remove that, and then this part is completely free. So that's what you have to do, and then remove the coils, which is pretty easy. All you have to do is lift the tab and then this one comes off. This one is usually like this. All you have to do is like lift it like that, and that's it. Pretty easy. I mean, and the cover too, you have to remove the cover. I mean, but that's pretty easy. And then you pull the coil, pretty easy, nothing complicated. This is one of the easiest engines you can work. So with the coil, all we have to look if the interior pieces are there. If you can see that there is nothing missing there, if you see something missing there, you pay attention to that. But in this case, everything is good on this one. So that means then the number 1 coil doesn't have any problem. So the same way, you gotta remove the other ones and check them. If you're having problems with the misfiring, you better mark them by number. Depending on what number the coil was, you mark them with the number, so you can relocate them in different positions to see if the misfiring code goes to a different position. So after inspecting all the coils, there is nothing wrong with the coils. That means then we can just think then there is electronic problem. But don't just replace parts. So what we're gonna do right now is to remove the spark plugs. In this case, the spark plugs are already removed. If they're on place, you have to take them apart completely. But in this case, this is the spark plug. See, it looks like it hasn't been working at all. You can tell by the way it looks wet. It looks wet. It looks like it hasn't been burning. If the spark plug is in a good condition, it's gonna look like dry. It's gonna look like kind of like ashy, kind of like that. But in this case, it looks completely wet. So that means then this one hasn't been working on cylinder number 1. And we're gonna do the same for the other ones. This one looks a little different. See? This one looks like it has been working, but not that much. Still doesn't look well. Anyway, we have to continue. And this one looks just the same as the first one. So now when I pull the other 3, and to see and compare them how they look. Right, I have here the last 3 spark plugs. This is the number 4, this is the number 5, and this is the number 6. If you notice at the number 3, it looks like there is a lot of corrosion. It looks like there's water, contamination, and so much stuff going on there. Look at the number 5, it looks good. It looks like it's been working fine. That's the way each spark plug has to be, this appearance has to have. And this one, it looks like it hasn't been working very well. So As I say at the beginning of the video, this car is getting random misfiring. So when random misfiring happens, that means that there is no one cylinder. It's more than one cylinder that is misfiring, but the computer can't tell what cylinder, or if it's a lot of misfiring that is happening. Probably can be just a tiny bit of misfiring that is happening, and the computer is telling you, but it is not very sure of what cylinder because the misfiring is just very small, and the computer cannot detect that specific misfire. After knowing that all the spark plugs don't look very well, and I'm gonna start thinking about something different. I wanna start thinking about the engine itself. So before I replace parts, before I replace anything, what I wanna do is to check the engine compression to see how good the compression should be. A good compression on an engine has to be between 150 to depending the engine, 150 to 200. 175 is the average. That's the most amount of vehicles, 175. But 150 to 200 is going to be the majority. The newer cars are around 200 because of direct injections. But these old type, they are around 175 to 150. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna test the compression of each cylinder. We're gonna write it up and compare it to see which cylinder is the one that has the lowest compression and which cylinder has the highest compression. And if you don't know how to do that, I'm going to show you right now. So to do the compression test on any engine, doesn't have a BMW, it's going to be similar for all engines, and it doesn't matter how old or how new the engine is. It's going to be pretty similar to testing. So you're gonna need a compression tester like this one. This is the gauge, and as you can see, the maximum for gasoline is gonna be 300. So this is only for gasoline. And we're gonna need the adapter, the hose, and the liter adapter to go to the spark plug orifice. So in this case, because this is an older BMW, this is a 14 millimeter. But for newer BMWs, you're gonna use the 12 millimeter. Then it's this one, which is different. But right now we are talking about all BMWs, so we're gonna forget about this one. So this is pretty easy to use. All you have to do is to remove all the spark plugs which are already removed. If you have them removed, you have to remove them all. And then once you have them all removed, what we're not doing is insert this one in the spark plug orifice over there, and then rotate it because it has a thread. So we have to thread it in until it gets tight. It's already tight. And now we're gonna insert the gauge, and that's it. It's completely secure. So now you can proceed to the test. As I said before, you have to remove all the spark plugs because that will help to have an easier testing, because the battery can get drained after many tries. But because the spark plugs are gone, the battery can last longer because there is no opposition for the engine. So let's do the cylinder number 1 in this case. Alright, the testing is over. You could see that's the way you test it. Just the same way I did on the first one, that's the way you're gonna do it. To the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. It doesn't matter how many cylinders you have, that's the same way you're gonna do it. In this case there are 6 cylinders, so 6 cylinders, 6 readings, and you could clearly see the results, but nevertheless you have to write them and compare them. So let's go to the shade to compare this. So we have the readings here: cylinder number 1, cylinder number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can clearly see that cylinder number 3 and 4 are having very low compression. Meanwhile, cylinder number 2 and cylinder number 5 are having like low compression. So these two are getting not the best compression, but these two are really bad. The cylinder number 1 and the cylinder number 6, they're okay. They're within the range between 150 to 175 for natural aspirated engines. If you have a direct injection engine, you want to be around 150 to 200. So in this case, the range is pretty good for cylinder number 6 and cylinder number 1. But for these middle ones, it is not. So when you have a compression like this, 135 or 140, that's when the computer detects random misfire, because the computer cannot tell how much misfire are you getting because it is low compression, low power, but it detects that. So because of that, it cannot tell which cylinder is the one that is having the problem. In this case, we can clearly see what cylinders are the ones that are having the problems, and there is nothing else to do up to right now to fix this problem, because in this case the only cause for low compression is going to be inside the combustion chamber. So definitely there is something wrong with the engine, which means that this engine is bad. The engine has to be replaced or repaired. Where can be the problem? In this case, because we have an all-star natural aspirated engine, the only place where you can find this problem is in the cylinder, and that is going to be the piston rings. And that is going to be an internal failure, which means that the engine got to be tear apart completely to replace those parts. It could be the cylinder valves, the head valves, or the intake or the exhaust. It could be one of those, but you have to actually take everything apart to see. In this case, there is no way that you cannot spray any type of intake valve cleaner, because it won't help, because these engines are not, they don't have that issue, because they have an indirect injection, which means that the port injection is going to be right on the manifold, and the fuel then delivers to the combustion chamber, goes through the intake valves, and that cleans the valve. So that's the situation with these ones. They barely have any problem with that kind of situation. When you have a low compression on a natural aspirated engine, most of the time is the engine itself, the one is bad, and in its replacement. So what to do here? I don't know. Because this is an old BMW, and replacing these parts is going to be a little expensive, and the owner, I'm pretty sure, won't like to spend that much money on this old BMW. So that will be bad, because you don't know where the problem exactly is. But I know the problem, but I don't know exactly where we have to actually check. But no matter what, the engine has to be removed completely. At least the head has to be completely removed to inspect, and then after that, based on that, you can remove everything else. But there is nothing else to do other than that. So sadly, it happened to the engine, and no other repair we can do. We can try to use probably some kind of like engine repair kits, like oil additives and all that. Try to put it on the engine and see if it helps. But the majority of the cases, when the problems are very low compression, like as this car has, is very hard to repair those, because the internal failure is pretty big, and that's the reason why. So now you understand how the random misfire works, and that is going to be it's going to be the same for all engines. It doesn't matter if it's natural aspirated or turbocharged or direct injection or supercharged. It doesn't matter how the engine is. It's going to have the same basic problems, because based on the compression, how much compression, that's based on how much power you are getting from the engine. And if the computer detects that there is low power delivery from one specific cylinder, but it doesn't detect like no power at all, it will have hard time to tell if it's the cylinder that is not working well or is something else. So that's the reason why you want to have these kind of issues. But the point of this video was to show you how the low compression test is and how you want to do it. and how you're gonna perform it. And by writing the paper like this is good because you can tell where the cylinder damage is, and it's pretty easy to identify. I mean, you can tell by looking which cylinder has bad, but in this case, because you can forget, in this case you don't forget. So that's the way you want to do. It doesn't matter how many cylinders your car has, but it's going to be the same. The process is going to be the same. So I guess this is all about the video. There is nothing else to add. I did in the past. I did another video about a 750, then had a low compression too, but on that one I have a low compression because they were kind of carbon built inside what the intake valve seal is, so it was not letting the valve seal completely, and that where the all the pressure was releasing from there, and that was causing misfiring from that specific cylinder. And that's another video. I have that. If you are interested on that one, you can check it out on my channel as well. It's going to be for a newer version, I mean a newer engine, a newer N63 engine with a turbocharge, but the basic of doing the job is the same. So I guess this is all. If you have any questions, use the comment section below, or you can look Instagram. You can go to Instagram and look for Francisco Maya YouTube, and there you can ask me any questions about anything. And that's how you are going to be able to communicate with me the fastest way. Make sure to like the video, share it with other BMW enthusiasts that are interested to learn more about BMWs, because sharing information is very important, because we all get knowledge out of something. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. It's very important. Make sure to look all the content we have. We have different content. We don't have only repair content. We have many different content, and I'm pretty sure you will like it. If you don't, let us know. Let us know what you think about our content. Thank you.